thanks for dropping by. I'll have a go at this today for several reasons. I got this at Burnham's sometime during last year. Bearing in mind they were only allowed to open at certain times last year and then they got shut down again. In one of those times I did a visit. This is Dendrobium formosum. This is a black hair type. They are very sensitive to systemics, and as you probably saw in the previous video, I got some scale issues, and this one today when I watered it dropped three of its leaves, three large leaves. And I've been battling with the base of this plant for some time now, spraying away with a contact killer to no avail. Well, the previous video explains what's been going on. This has never been out of its pot, and it really is in there. Right, what we've got here are flat roots, and they're all around the outside of the pot. And they're this is a very shallow root system. That pot's far too small for this plant. It makes a change for me to say too small, isn't it? I'm normally saying it's far too big. This is the problem. Look at the base of this plant. It's covered in it. So the idea is, I'm going to get all the old media out, because scale, although they prefer to be on green stuff, they will go down in, down to the base of the plant, and they can get into the media. Better to be safe than sorry. So all of the media is coming off, every bit of it, even if there's a bit of root damage, I don't care. Not on this one. Every bit's coming off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the whole of the base with hydrogen peroxide. Now I don't know whether that does much good or not as far as scale are concerned. The problem is once scale become an adult and they get that hard glossy shell on them, there's not much goes through that. It's got a waxy coating on it, and liquids just run off. They don't penetrate. And that's where the eggs are laid, so you don't kill the eggs and you get another outbreak. The whole idea of using a systemic is that if you get another outbreak, as soon as they feed, they die. But when your systemic's not working, then they don't die, basically. And if they make it through to adults, you start the whole cycle again. So I don't know whether hydrogen peroxide can kill the fluffy stage of scale. That I don't know. But once I've sprayed this with hydrogen peroxide, I'm going to physically remove these, and I will do that like under the tap with my fingers. I will rub every single part. I'm just trying to see if these the thing is with sheaths on Dendrobiums, these types, they don't like to come off. And if you look there's an adult scale there under the sheath. Well, if they can manage to crawl under it, there must be a gap. Well, I can't get that off. So all I can do is use my thumbnail to get the scale off. But where I can see through these sheaths, I will have to go over them. They're not too bad. The actual canes are not too bad. See, there's a couple there, look. Just at the top of the sheath. They've just found one little place there. I'm just using my thumbnail to get those off. And then there's another few there. And they're only a few, but it's enough to carry on the infestation. I'll go over that cane. Nope. This cane looks, oh, there's a couple there. Scrape them off. Another couple there. And now everything is sort of down the base of the plant now. We shall see what happens. Of quite honestly, this plant hasn't, I can't remember, you know, is this a new growth? Or, you know, or I'd have to go back to when I bought it and have a look at the, you know, sort of video, if I could find it. Well, in my notes it should have a date when I acquired it, and somewhere near there, after that date, should be a video showing it as a new plant. See, this could have been a new growth, but I've got a feeling this was a mature cane when I got it, in which case it's probably gone nearly a year and hasn't produced a new growth yet. You know, this cane has got scaling under the sheaths. They can be got off. Looks like there's a bud there. But coming down the leaves, that leaf's okay. Next one. There's a couple tiny little white flecks. Next one. There's okay. Next one. Those are ones I've probably got off today. See, now that one's got signs around the edge there. Another couple there. Chances are they're in the leaf joint, and definitely some here on this last leaf. These leaves are going to come off soon. They will fall. This cane is becoming deciduous, which is why I want to try and get a new growth going. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it a wash and give it a good clean up after it's had the hydrogen peroxide. Whether that does any good as far as scale is concerned, I don't really know. It has a burning effect. You know, that's how it kills spores, pathogens and the like. It has a burning effect. But at 3%, I don't know whether it's strong enough to, you know, kill bigger stuff. So a lot of these roots aren't actually any good on this old. It's on this old part of the plant, basically. Well, I'm just going to leave them all and pot it and see what happens. Maybe they'll branch. If they get, you know, this plant obviously hasn't been hydrating very well in the tiniest of pots. So we'll see what we can do, but first job is to give it one hell of a good clean up, meticulous clean up this time round. You know, because I can't treat a black hair type with systemic any sense, not without doing damage anyway. See, I thought because that systemic was a contact killer, I've been spraying the base of the plant because the canes don't soak up much. It just hasn't been working. Quite grubby, the base of this plant. It'll probably look a lot nicer when it's been cleaned up. Right, so I'll be back. I don't know whether you do this sort of thing. Sometimes when you just cannot be bothered, actually something works a bit better. That holy clay pot was being used to hold the plant upright because the pot was just totally unstable. And now I'm going to put the plant in it. Save going and getting another pot. And that will help it keep it upright. And being a black hair type, it's not going to appreciate my winter temperatures too much. So as a consequence, in a pot that dries really fast, I should be able to keep the roots happy and stop them rotting. Now I'm going to do something a bit strange with the pot. I can get this bag open. Finally ran, oh, that looks like one of my knots. Kind of undone that easy. Remember the last time we did anything, I said I'd just used up the last of my really chunky bark, but I did have another bag. Well, this is that bag. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and line this pot with this big chunky stuff, leaving a hollow in the middle, which is going to have smaller bark in, with some charcoal. But I don't want, if I try and use that for the whole pot, it's not going to work because it'll all come out the holes. So I'm just balancing this up the side of the pot. I might have to lift the camera up a minute and show you what I've done, although I'm sure you can imagine. As I said, I'm just building up the walls basically. I won't be able to come right up to the top because it'll all fall in again, but if I can come a fair way up, you know, hopefully I'll stop it going out of most of the holes. Right, you're going to get seasick, but that's all I can do. So that's what I've done. Oops, that's alright. I can't see what I'm doing here. Where's my screen? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so I've got a hollow and I've built it up the sides. So now I can put some stuff down in the middle. So I've got the option of it staying very moist and also drying out fast if I choose that as well. So that's the idea. So we'll carefully move that so that we don't knock it all over. Now this is Burnham's large bark, which as we know isn't large. It's even got quite small bits in it. It's got twigs, bits of grass, chunks of wood, so it's got non-barky things in it. And any really large pieces I'm going to take out because I want this inner media to be more moisture retentive, but as I said, with the holes in the clay pot, how moist it stays will depend on how frequently I water it. And what the temperatures are. Right, so you can go back in, whoops, you can go back in there, it's another big bit. Right, so that's sort of medium to small, as far as in a stone. There's all sorts of this stuff. It's far from clean. I mean the what you call it, bark, Orchids bark, certainly in the early days when I started using it, it really was clean. You know, you hardly ever found anything in there that wasn't what it said on the bag. Not quite so good nowadays. Right, so that's that. I am going to put a little bit of cocoa husk in, only in that centre core again, and again that's to help hold moisture, but come winter time it will only get just enough to keep it moist, and it will be allowed to totally dry because of the lower temperatures. So we'll have a bit of that, and then as always we have a bit of charcoal, even though we're not sure that does anything. So that's my mix. Dirty mitts there. And we'll see if this works. The plant's actually going to get wired in. It is a wholly clay pot, and we won't forget to put the wire on first. But what we have forgotten to do is put the wire on before we carefully balanced all that bark at the sides, which probably means I'm going to knock it all off now. We'll give it a go. Let's see if we can do this without knocking it all on the floor. Now what I'm going to do is hold the pot still, and hopefully this wire will go through these little holes. Yes, it will. Good. Right, so hoping to get away with one wire. So we'll snip that off. We'll try not to poke our eye out. And will I need another one? We'll try one. We'll try one. See what happens. Right, so again, as soon as I put this plant in there, it's going to knock all of that bark off. But the idea is that I fill up that hollow first. So that's now got, that hollow is now filled up. And is there room for the plant now? Well, the plant, I want the plant sitting on the top, so although that looks a bit proud, you have to remember a lot of these roots are probably not going to survive. So I'm looking for new roots and a flipping new growth. So where's my wire? Where's the exit hole? Sounds like I've shot it, doesn't it? It's the exit hole. Well, the new growth's going to come out this end of the plant, so I need that right back there, even if it does squash the roots. And I will come across there into that hole there. So we can get plenty more down in there. But let's get our wire on. Always add more afterwards. And we've got to come out through there. Please don't play about. There's a lot of these little holes in these clay pots. They are not clean, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going around the outsides where I can see it to see if it is clean. Not very, but having just poked the wire through it, now might go through from the other side. Can't really see what I'm doing here. I'm in my own light, that's the problem. You're just not going to play ball, are you? Right, let's have another go. Gotcha, I think. It's going to go through. Not in the mood for this, really. I just can't see what I'm flipping doing. I can't see. Now let's try again. So I'm going to throw it on the floor in a minute. First of all, I'm going to get them roots out of the way because they're really annoying me. Now let's see. Gotcha. Once a tiny little piece pokes through, get hold of the pliers and pull it. Just lever it basically and it'll come through. Just couldn't get that end to thread basically, it just wouldn't have it. Now it's working. Wire's not strong enough. And if I can just get that to turn up and hold. Yes. Phew. That was hard work. Do without that. And we'll poke a bit down through the roots. You're not stable, are you? Despite having a wire. So I'll put a kink in it, see if that will do it. That's just pulled it back through the hole. You know, I shouldn't have started this. I'm not in the mood. I'm coming out and I'm starting again. I might not even post the video. I'm just not in the mood. Just end up breaking the pot if I'm not careful. That's muddled all that up, so I have to start all that again. I'll cut all that lot out of the video and sort of I'll restart it like now, and we will put our big stuff in, and then what I'm going to do is try and build it up the sides so that there's a bit of a hollow which the smaller stuff can then go inside for the roots to get down into. but if I try and use the small stuff from the bottom of the pot, it'll just fall out the holes. So as I say, I'm going to try and build a little wall up, and we'll see how that goes. And I'll take the camera off and show you what I've done. Right, so that's my... right. Right, and then we've got our mix, which should be okay. We still have a little bit more cocoa husk. It's a bit thin in there. That's a bit better. We don't want that fluffy stuff. Well, not in this one, we don't. Right, so make sure I've got enough as well. Right, and I'm just going to break off because I'm going to go and get a different wire. Right, I'm starting now. I don't know how much of what I've already got on film I can edit out and try and make it seem a little smoother and get the bad temper out of there, which hopefully therefore you won't see. And we'll go from here. Now I need this plant sitting quite proud, so I'm going to put quite a bit in first. I've checked that my wire will go through the exit hole. Watch too many films, don't I? And I will hopefully get this plant to sit nicely on the media. Yeah, there's not enough. You want a mound. It might mean I'll have to mix up a little bit more because it's now quite high up. I do need something for it to actually grow in. So, new part of the plant here, old part of the plant towards the back, and that's where it's sinking. So we put a bit more around the back so that it holds the back of the plant up. It's because there's not so many roots there, that's all it is. And then hopefully we will put our stronger, thicker wire that's never broken on me. That new bonsai wire is obviously not as strong as my old stuff. It should go through there. I was going to say it went through there just now. I tested it so that I wouldn't have to cuss at it later. I'm holding the plant quite still, and my wire starts much lower down this time, so I think that was part of the problem, and I should be able to let go of the plant now and it's firm. The trouble is, it's such a top heavy plant. Right, I think that's got it. It's good enough, because I think what I will do is I will tie it. I'll actually put a loose tie round to hold the canes quite close together and vertical, and that will just solve the problem. But I need to know that it's pretty secure before I get to that point, which I think I'm okay with that now. So we will trim our end and bend it over the top so we don't poke our eye out with it. That's pretty secure. New growth's hopefully going to come out quite near the middle of the pot now. Now what we've got to do is top up, and I can already see I haven't got enough. I just want, on top of the old roots, I just want some loose media, because I don't think they're active even. I don't think they're growing. So that's just to keep them moist enough to hopefully, pardon me, hydrate the plant. So now what I'm going to do is mix up a little bit more to go around the front of the plant. In fact, I'm not even going to bother mixing anything. I'm just going to chuck a bit of coconut husk in it to help keep some moisture around where the new roots will probably come out. Trust me, get 3 big bits in one handful. It's been one of them days. One of them days where you feel like you want to just go back to bed, have an hour's sleep and get up and start the whole day again. Doesn't gain you anything getting ratty with things, quite honestly. The plant doesn't know, does it? Right, I'm going to leave that at that. Could actually possibly use a bit of wire to tie those all together, as I've got some here. I don't like putting wire. I'll just go and get some raffia so that you can see the finished job. Alright, so let me just raise the camera as well, because you don't need to see the pot anymore. It's the plant we're looking at now. Right. So I don't need a huge length of raffia. You know, all I'm doing is joining the canes together. And of course, is there an end? Of course there isn't. There wouldn't be today, would there? Well, I'm blowed if I can see an end there, so blow it. I shall have pieces. Now I've got two ends for next time, that's for sure. Right, we shall just loosely join that on there. Get that cane on the inside. Once it's there, it should stay there. In fact, I'll make sure it's going to stay there. We'll loop round it. And then we've got this one. We'll loop gently around that one. This is very loose, nothing tight, and this gives an absolute perfect place for scale to be, under the raffia. They love doing that. Actually, I'm going to go around under that leaf. They love getting underneath raffia. And a hold like that. Yeah, that should be fine. Missed. That's better. There's an air knot there. Right. Skizzers. Look reasonably tidy. Now that'll need a hell of a good soaking now, because it's got dry cocoa husk in it and it's a clay pot that was dry. So we're reasonably firm now, and I can pick the pot up without the plant going loopy, and the base of the plant is reasonably exposed, not totally exposed, but reasonably exposed. And now it's just a matter of waiting and hoping that a new growth comes and produces some new roots. Slight correction from earlier in the video, if that part of the video is still there, once I've edited it. I said it came from Burnham's. It actually came from Spiceotic plants, not Burnham's. Oh sure, must have been the other one. I think it was Infundibulum came from Burnham's. This one came from Spiceotics. Needs a new growth now, relatively soon, as these roots are not good. Probably just about good enough to keep hydrating the plant, enough to stay alive, but not necessarily to grow very well. I've seen an adult scale. Right, so that job's been outstanding a very long time, quite honestly. I've been meaning to get on with this, so it's done now. I can go and find somewhere a bit shady for it for now, and we'll see if it picks up, because it's not doing very well at the moment. Despite looking a big plant, you know, I've got 3 leafless canes here, one that's been sawn off, and a cane that's now starting to drop its leaves prior to a new growth growing, which is a bit unusual. We shall see how it does. See you next time, and sorry about that video. It's just bits and pieces put together because I was just not in the mood to do it. I shouldn't have started, but having started I wanted to finish, so well, we got there in the end. See you next time.